A small victory for abortion rights in Iowa. For now, abortion remains illegal up to 20 weeks of pregnancy in that state after its Supreme Court blocked a 6-week abortion ban from going into effect yesterday. But in many other states across the United States, families are still facing the cruel outcomes of GOP-led abortion bans. Last year, Deborah Dorbert was only 24 weeks pregnant when an ultrasound revealed her fetus was suffering from Potter syndrome, a condition her specialist said was incompatible with life. Her doctor said the baby had no kidneys at all and the lungs were underdeveloped. The pregnancy also placed her own life on the line due to an especially high risk of preeclampsia. Despite her pleading for the option to terminate the pregnancy, doctors refused due to Florida's 15-week abortion ban that was in existence at the time, a law that has already escalated even more to a near total ban now at 6 weeks, before most women even know that they're pregnant. Without any saving grace, Deborah was forced to carry her non-viable pregnancy to full term. At 37 weeks, her son Milo died in her arms shortly after he was delivered in March. He lived for 99 minutes. Since that time, Deborah and her family have been grieving the unbearable, unthinkable loss of a child. Deborah Dorbert and her husband Lee join us now. Deborah and Lee, I cannot imagine how difficult this experience has been for the two of you. I do have to ask, how are you doing now? Is anything able to bring you peace?
I'm not doing okay. I have my good days and bad days, but it's still at the beginning stages of grief.
And Lee, how are you doing?
It's challenging. It's hard to put on the face every day. To act like everything is okay with me and make it through my day at work. But that's what we got to do. But it is challenging at times. Certain triggers will just kind of make you break down and think about everything. So it is still hard, still grieving.
Deborah, I'm sure what makes it even more challenging for you and Lee is the fact that you do have the blessing of a beautiful son, Caden. He was 4 years old when you were going through this horrible experience. I know he was so excited about having a little sibling. So how is Caden doing?
He's doing okay. He kind of bounced back quickly afterwards, but lately he's been asking questions of if Milo was always going to be an angel or is he coming home. And so the past few days he's kind of been sad, just because I tell him he was going to always be an angel. So just like us, he has his good days, and there are days he asks questions, and just all day long he'll be sad after that.
Lee, you and Deborah were told that you could travel out of state to try to obtain an abortion, but what were your fears in trying to do so?
Well, the first fear was the unknown possible legal repercussions of that. We didn't know what possibly could, if there were any legal repercussions to us if we did. And then the financial standpoint, and then, also finding a physician, a doctor that we would trust to, throughout that process. It's kind of overwhelming, especially when we already have doctors here that we do trust, to care for us. And that's, it was a very overwhelming task that it didn't seem feasible at the time.
Deborah, I read the details about your experience the day that labor was induced and Milo was born. And I know it's so hard to talk about these details because it's just so tragically painful. But I do think it's important for people to understand what you went through so that they can understand how difficult this process has been for you. you actually had to hold, your husband Lee, even some of your other family members, you were there, but Milo was struggling to breathe during that time that he was with you. Talk to us about how it felt knowing that you were carrying this baby, you felt him in you, and then you gave birth to him only to have to watch him die 99 minutes later.
After I had him, he just went straight to my chest, and they wrapped him in his blanket, and you could just hear him, gasp for air. And it was just, I knew that's what was happening. He was trying so hard to breathe. He didn't open his eyes at all. He didn't cry at all. And I just kind of held him, and I just knew how hard a time he was having trying to breathe. He took his first breath, and he took his last breath in my arms, and it's very painful to watch your child take their first and last breath, and to watch them struggle to breathe. And you're just hoping he's not in as much pain, but he can't talk and tell you how much pain he's in. So I just cuddled him and held him, to bring him comfort.
Deborah, your father has said that Florida's abortion laws, that they've created torture, and that's the word that he used. What do you and Lee want the viewers to know about how it feels to have strangers, even just politicians, right, with agendas involved in such a personal decision?
My words would be to anybody that's stood by their wife and watched them go through labor of having a child and be there next to her, holding her hand and encouraging her, telling her that everything's going to be okay. Try doing that, knowing that it's not going to be okay.
Deborah?
I don't know. It's just, it's hard.
Listen, I'm not gonna.
Words to describe. It's hard to describe or tell someone. It's traumatic, and it's gonna take a long time to heal from it. I don't know.
And, Deborah and Lee, I didn't want you to come on TV and have everybody listen to this so that you would have to be re-traumatized. I wanted people to have to share this experience with you so that they can understand how important it is to be aware of how this is a personal impact. These are not the stories that people are reading. They may be about you, but this is something that you've had to live and go through. And I wanted people to hear it. And I cannot begin to emphasize how grateful I am for the courage and for your honesty about coming on and talking about it. Deborah and Lee Dorbert, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.